or lowering your vibration.
Yes,
And
your
I was
frequency.
wondering what it is actually
It's your energy.
that's vibrating.
Energy has frequency to it. A simple example is what you call your visible spectrum of light, yes? You know it's all the same kind of electromagnetic energy, but you know that red is a different frequency, a different vibrational rate than blue, which is a higher vibrational rate. Yes?
Yes.
So when you allow yourself to align with your truth, your passion, your creativity, your love, you are allowing yourself to upgrade and accelerate, raise up your frequency. And by raising up your frequency, it makes you more sensitive as a receiver, in a sense, as an antenna, to pick up on even higher frequencies above and beyond your reality. Your senses expand. You start being able to perceive the structure of existence. You start being able to understand that you have a direct connection to Source. You start being able to actually experience it in that way. You start being able to realize that you are already being given everything you can possibly be given. You don't necessarily have to ask for more. It's that you just have to pay more attention to what you're already getting. And raising your frequency makes you a more sensitive receiver to be able to pay more attention to what you're already being given that helps you. Yes? Does that answer your question?
I think I could think about that for a long time, actually.
Well, if you insist, you can think about it for as long or as short as you wish. But it's really not that complicated. You're just making yourself basically more sensitive to receive higher energy information by matching that level, by matching that frequency. Remember, the principle is you cannot perceive what you are not the vibration of. So when you are vibrating at a certain rate, at a certain frequency, you can't perceive the things that are vibrating like this. You have to raise your frequency and become matched to that frequency like two tuning forks to be able to receive and understand and translate and process that vibration and all the information and all the experience that is relevant to that vibration. If you're down at this level on this vibration scale, you can't really have any experiences that are representative of a different vibrational level. Make sense?
Yeah.
You have to think about that for a while too, I suppose.
But to rate, I guess the second part of my question would be to
Yes.
raise my vibration.
That's the formula that we've given you all. Yes? You act on your highest passion because passion is the translation in your body of your true frequency.
Okay.
You do it to the best you are able, and you do it with absolutely no insistence and no assumption, thinking that you know what the outcome is supposed to be of acting on that passion because your physical mind really has no idea. And if you insist on knowing what that outcome should be and put those kinds of restrictions on it, your higher mind and creation cannot necessarily then give you what could actually be much better than you have imagined. So you have to really trust the synchronicity and the higher self to deliver to you, when you're in the correct vibration of passion, all the things you truly need at that moment. Your physical mind is only designed to understand and experience what's happening, what's going on right now at this moment, and take that experience in. Your physical mind is not designed to really know what's going to happen, but higher intelligence does. And therefore it guides you and says, follow your passion. That's the compass needle pointing to your true north. That's the compass needle that allows you to align with your true self and your true path in life. Follow the passion, follow the love, follow the excitement, follow the curiosity, follow the creativity. That's what you are. That's who you are. And then you know your path will be unerring. It will be the path of least resistance, the path of joy. You will experience less struggle and strife. It's just the way it works. You're going with the flow of your current. You're not swimming upstream. You're not resisting it. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yes.
So that's the formula. Act on your highest passion to the best you can at every moment. Do it as much as you can, as far as you can take it, until you can take it no further. Then act on the next most exciting thing. And then do that with absolutely no insistence, no assumption as to what the outcome ought to be, and see what happens. And then whatever happens, remain in a positive state. Even if something manifests that you don't initially prefer, you have to know it's there for a reason. There are no accidents. It's there for a reason. Learn to stay in a positive state, and then you can use what you don't prefer in a way that you do prefer and get the benefit from it. But you have to know that whatever you are given is what you need at that moment. Because sometimes you will test yourself. Maybe something will manifest that you don't prefer, and maybe you will find yourself reacting in the same old way with the same old fear-based beliefs and say, oh, why did that happen? Something must be wrong. Something's off. I will judge myself. I must have done something wrong. That is what exactly makes that state stick and stay there and get you in a loop of negativity. But if you suddenly realize, all right, I recognize objectively that I don't prefer this, but I know it's got to be there for a reason that serves me. I just know that. Then you will be able to extract the benefit. You will see eventually why it happened in that way, if for nothing else again, that you tested yourself to make sure that you're not making your happiness conditional on what happens outside. You are making your happiness conditional only on what you decide is true for you. Yes?
Fantastic.
Is this helping?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
All right. You didn't need much time to think about that then, yes?
Well, no. Somehow it just
Clicked.
clicked in there.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And a you good day.
Going back to when you were talking about the 9 levels of consciousness,
Yes.
I was trying to get a better understanding. You made an emphasis on the emotions, the beliefs, the emotions, and the thoughts, reversing
Yes.
them.
Belief systems are the blueprint that leads to emotions, thoughts, and behaviors that creates your experience in reality.
And you made a point to say that the way we normally think about that, we should flip that upside down. So that
No.
beliefs are on
No,
top.
no. Not that you should flip it upside down. What we're saying is you think it's upside down.
Yeah.
That's the way your society sees it. In other words, you think your subconscious mind and your unconscious mind are below your conscious mind. They're not. They're above. Because it comes from the less physical to the more physical. So the unconscious mind is actually a higher frequency than the subconscious mind, which is a higher frequency than the physical mind. So what we're saying is you need to understand that that's the way it actually is, so that you can work with it in a more constructive way rather than thinking that the subconscious and unconscious mind are below or beneath the physical mind, which gives the physical mind the idea that it's somehow in charge, which it's not.
So is this compatible with the idea of the chakra system? Because when I think about it, it doesn't.
Not exactly, no. It's not quite the same thing as the idea of the chakra system in the body. The chakra system in the body are simply the energy centers that process the idea of the beliefs, the emotions, the thoughts, the behaviors in a way that allows you to experience yourself either in balance or out of balance with your own true, fundamental, essential frequency. So the chakras give you an understanding of how to align more clearly with your true essential frequency and give you an understanding of when you may be out of alignment with that true essential frequency. So it's not exactly the same thing, although they're interrelated, because one is an expression of what's going on in the others.
Right.
Does that help?
So it won't help to try and synthesize those 2 systems of thought. It's just better to keep them separate.
You can synthesize them together. They do work together, as I just said. So if you understand the interrelationship of what the chakra centers are showing you, whether you are in balance, out of balance, then that gives you an opportunity to maybe go in and examine your belief systems and why the beliefs you're holding on to are throwing you out of balance, represented by the imbalance in the chakra system. So you're using the chakra system, in a sense, as a way, as an indicator to let you know when there might be something out of whack, out of balance, out of alignment within you. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do it that way. Some people are sensitive to being able to read that. Some people are not. It's not necessarily their particular permission slip. But it can be used that way, but that's the relationship.
All right, thank you.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Anything else?
I just wanted to know, like, basically, you have a very simple formula.
Yes, I do.
And
because creation is fundamentally very simple. It can be richly complex, But the structure is very, very simple.
And it's the answer you give to everyone every time, pretty much in different words.
Because there is only one instruction manual. There's only one formula. If you understand that, you're free and you can answer all your own questions. That's the point.
So
it's like saying, if I handed you an instruction manual to help you understand how to operate a piece of machinery, would you start looking for extra pages going, there must be more to the instructions than this? Or would you be happy that the instruction manual was relatively simple?
I'm just wondering why, what do people get caught up in? Why it seems so simple and yet it's...
Because you have been taught to believe that things have to be a struggle in order to be worthwhile.
So the process, pretty much, if you were to begin, is to simply
the process
try to imagine
is to simply understand the instructions,
right,
clearly,
and to make that applicable and
and
practical.
to apply them in your reality, and you'll get the result. Just like, again, if you follow the instructions in an instruction manual for a piece of machinery, the machine will operate according to the instructions. Now, the machine of creation always operates. The instruction manual is designed to reveal to you how it operates to your advantage instead of to your disadvantage, because you're the one in charge of pushing those buttons. You have free will to choose whether you'll be in alignment with creation or out of alignment with creation. So the instruction manual is a way of understanding how to be in alignment, how to go with the flow to your advantage.
So the more excitement, the more passion you have,
Yes.
The higher your frequency.
Yes. The more you act on your passion. It's not necessarily about the volume of passion. It's about the frequency upon which you're willing to act on it. Because sometimes you can start small and you can say, well, I don't have any large-scale passion project or a large-scale passionate career or anything like that. But at any given moment, I have a number of options available to me that I can take action on. They can be very, very basic and very simple. Take a walk, read a book, call a friend, eat a meal. The idea is that synchronicity is the organizing principle. Therefore, whichever one contains even the tiniest bit more attractiveness, gets your curiosity a little bit more strongly than any other choice, that's the one to act on first until you can act on it no further. When you can act on it no further, then look for the next thing that has even just the tiniest bit more excitement in it, more attractiveness in it than any other choice, and act on that next. That's how synchronicity brings it to you in a way that makes it organize all the things you need to do in the order in which you need to do them in perfect timing. And you can start that way. Now, eventually, if it needs to build up into something bigger, then it will snowball into something bigger because more and more opportunities will come to you synchronistically that might be representative of larger opportunities, larger expressions of your passion. But it's not so much about the volume itself as it is the frequency with which you're willing to act on it that makes the difference.
So there's not a threshold of energy, so to speak, that you have to cross before a manifestation occurs?
You're always manifesting something, aren't you? Aren't you manifesting right now? That's your nature. If you weren't manifesting, you wouldn't be having a physical experience at all. So obviously you can manifest. It's about becoming more aware that you manifest, and it's about becoming more aware of how you manifest, and about becoming more aware of how you can prefer to manifest things that are more in alignment with who you truly are. It's not about learning to do something you're not already doing. It's about becoming more aware of what you're already doing in a conscious way. That's all. You're already manifesting. That's natural. It's built in. You can't help it. That's just what you are. You're a manifester. You're a co-creator.
And responsibility. We understand many people on your planet have experienced the feelings of guilt and shame for many thousands of years, depending upon the actions that you take and how much of your conscious awareness comes into play with regard to whether or not you have acted out of integrity, meaning outside of integrity, and the idea of bringing yourself back into alignment. But many people on your planet go through a long process of letting go of the guilt and the shame before they are actually willing to let themselves experience responsibility in a positive sense. As we have said, our definition is simply the ability to respond. So the idea that we have spoken of before, when we have mentioned the concept of what we called natural anger, that lasts for about 15 seconds, and then it becomes an alignment energy for you to determine how to bring yourself back into alignment with your true vibration. Guilt can be used in the same way, and it is actually activated by much of the same mechanism, and is a representation of a similar vibrational energy as anger when it becomes judgment upon oneself, turning into the idea of hate, and so on and so forth. Then the natural energy that you experience as guilt, when you heap judgment upon yourself for having it, allows you to experience the idea of shame and doesn't really give you the ability to take full responsibility, to have the full ability to respond to the situation in a positive way. So this is really the same mechanism as we have described in terms of the natural anger, which perhaps from this point forward would be best terminized as alignment, an alignment energy. Best termed that way, instead of thinking of it as anger, which usually on your planet has a negative connotation already. So let's redefine the idea as alignment energy when you experience the idea of anger, when you experience the idea of guilt, when you experience the idea of shame, and all similar feelings. They are just representations, different expressions for different reasons of an alignment energy that gives you the opportunity to understand that you are out of alignment with your true vibration, out of sync with yourself, and without the judgment being heaped upon it, being heaped upon yourself for having experienced that alignment energy, then it won't turn anger into hate. It won't turn guilt into shame. You will simply be able to recognize it as an energy that tells you you are out of alignment with who you truly prefer to be. And you can bring yourself immediately back into alignment by being willing to take responsibility, by being willing to have the ability to respond to the situation in a positive way, saying, all right, this alignment energy, this rush of alignment energy that I am feeling, either as anger or guilt, doesn't have to perpetuate in a negative way, which only defeats the purpose of learning the lesson from it, that it helps me know I'm out of alignment so that I can take the opportunity to go back into alignment by taking responsibility, by having and expressing the ability to respond to my recognition that I'm out of alignment, by bringing myself back into alignment and not judging myself for having had the misalignment in the first place. So start to look at the idea of guilt as just another expression of the alignment energy, bringing it to your attention that it is not an expression of who you prefer to be, that you are out of sync with yourself, and start having more of an understanding of the ability to respond, bringing yourself back in to the idea of alignment by recognizing that it is simply an energy that let you know reflectively that you were out of alignment with who you truly prefer to be. So responsibility, the ability to respond, will short circuit the idea, if you're willing to go in that direction, of having any judgment on yourself for having been out of alignment, will prevent you from having to go through a long, involved, detailed process of wondering why and berating yourself for having gone out of alignment. Take this opportunity to shorten your processes. Take this opportunity to stop judging yourself for having slipped, as we say, or chosen, as we say, to go out of alignment momentarily. It does you really no good to continue that process of shame and guilt and anger, of continuing the misalignment by judging yourself negatively for having had that experience. Allow yourself to go quickly back into alignment by taking responsibility for having had the experience in a positive context and knowing that it has shown you very clearly who you truly prefer to be, and snapping back into that choice, realizing that it served its purpose already. There's no need to dwell on it or wallow in having had the alignment rush that you felt. There is no need to continue the shame. There is every need on your planet for you to correct yourself immediately, bring yourself back into alignment, Be a positive example of how to do so for others, so they also do not have to wallow into the idea of self-judgment, which you don't deserve, especially if you recognize by having that alignment rush that that's a good thing. It has shown you that you're operating properly, you're working properly, you're self-correcting, you're self-guiding. You are recognizing that you're out of alignment, and that's a positive recognition. So don't judge yourself negatively for that. Congratulate yourself for having realized, for having been willing to experience that rush of alignment energy that you used to call natural anger or used to call the idea of guilt. It's just a recognition. Use it positively, and you will move forward in a positive way very quickly and will not spend most of your time dwelling on the idea that you're judging yourself, which actually allows you to continue to judge yourself in a negative way. So know the differences here. Watch your definitions here. Use these to your advantage here, wherever and whenever you can. We thank you for allowing us to express this difference between the concept of guilt and responsibility by redefining all of these experiences as the alignment energy, the rush of alignment energy that allows you to know you are functioning perfectly, you are functioning fine. So celebrate that and congratulate yourself for having caught yourself in being misaligned with your true vibration, and allow yourself to snap back into that true vibration and move forward in your lives in a positive way. So in return for allowing us to share this concept with you this day of your time, I ask you now, in what way may we be of service to you? You may begin, if you wish, with your questions and dialogue.
Last week, exactly a week ago, my uncle died, has passed away.
Yes.
And my uncle, who's a brother of my grandma, I still call him an uncle. And he passed away unexpectedly. His mother feels a little bit guilty for this.
Why does she feel guilty? What does his passing have to do with her?
She said that she's a very simple woman. Like,
I don't care. What does his passing have to do with her? Did she kill him?
She said that she was talking bad behind his back about him, and that's why he died.
It's not why he died. These things are chosen by the person. The timing, however, can serve her in recognizing that perhaps saying things behind his back that are negative gives her an opportunity to recognize through the idea of the alignment rush that she may have been out of alignment in doing so. But to continue to wallow in the guilt means she's not learning the lesson that he has given her the opportunity to understand. So why not learn the lesson because of the timing of the death that put her in touch with the fact that she may have been out of alignment in saying the things that she said behind his back, and use that opportunity to propel herself forward in a positive way, which is what would be the wish of the person that died.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I think
Once a person is in spirit, they're no longer the way they were in physical reality. They are made and wrapped in unconditional love and only wish the best for those that are still physical. So the timing of the death, even though it was chosen by the person who died, is an opportunity for those left behind to realize what their relationship to that person was. And if they're feeling the guilt, the rush of alignment or the rush of misalignment, then they can realign themselves and not spend more time in guilt, which is exactly the opposite of what the spirit of that dead person would now wish for that person. It's a lesson to be learned. It's an alignment to be corrected. And if she is willing to learn the lesson, then she can actually serve the purpose of the death in a positive way, honor that person who died in a positive way by learning that the way she was behaving is not necessarily ideal, and bringing herself back into alignment, which would completely satisfy the spirit, knowing that the person had done something loving for themselves based on something that was done by the person who died, that was a loving opportunity given to that person to give them the opportunity to correct their own energy. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
yes.
So if you can explain that to her, maybe it will help her.
Yes.
But if she continues to wallow in the guilt of what she has done, then she is only continuing to dishonor that person's choice to die at that time, instead of learning the lesson that that person has given her.
Thank you.
If she is willing to realign herself and not continue to wallow in guilt, more messages will be able to come and she will be able to receive them herself.
Okay, thank you. And also, I have a question about a full moon. So
Yes.
I've noticed and how it impacts people's actions. So I've noticed that.
One moment. It does not impact people's actions. Their belief about it impacts their own actions. Remember, everything in physical reality is a reflective symbol, not a cause. It's a reflection of what's already going on in your consciousness, a reflection of your belief systems to point out to you what kind of belief systems you have. So the impact you're feeling is caused by you and those people having a particular belief about their relationship to your moon that then causes something in them to change. It's not being done by the moon. The moon is being used as a symbol, as a permission slip to allow those people to do those things to themselves. You understand the difference?
Yes, there is a belief system that of people that the moon has impact on them, but it's not necessarily the moon itself. It's that it comes from within rather than from the outside.
The moon is a representation of many different kinds of beliefs that allow people to experience certain things they wish to experience, but don't necessarily believe they can experience it on their own. Therefore, they use symbols like the moon to have the experiences that they don't believe they can create for themselves.
Okay. So, because what I wanted to say is that I've noticed that oftentimes these people on full moon days, they're like, for example, a lot of people in emergency rooms and
Again,
crazy.
It's all about the idea of their own belief system and their relationship to the symbol they are using to give themselves permission to move in a certain direction, and that could be positive or negative.
Mm-hmm. It's not like a greater chance to manifest things in life.
It's a greater chance if certain people believe that it's a greater chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But again, everything in physical reality is a reflection of what's going on in their consciousness. It's not a cause of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I also wanted to ask, because so I'm Polish and I have a lot of family in Poland.
Yeah.
And my closest family, my brother, really likes living in Poland.
Yes.
And in my opinion, it's maybe not the best place to live because...
Well, that's not your choice to make, is it?
No.
You can share with him your ideas about why you feel it might not be the best place, but you still have to allow him to make his own decisions if he is actually truly happy there. Remember, you don't know what his life path is, and whatever it is that's going to happen in that particular area may be something that he has designed himself to go through. You can't make that choice for him. You can only share with him the idea of why you might have a more positive experience somewhere else, but don't necessarily say it from the idea of fear. Otherwise, you're just reinforcing the negative side of any particular issue that may occur.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not your life. You can share your opinion, but you have to let go. It's not your life, and it's not your choice to make.
Okay. The thing is that he's a part of the family, and I still care about him.
Well, of course you care, but if you really care, you will allow him to make his own choices. You will give him the opportunity to make different choices, but you have to let him make his own choices. Whatever people do with whatever information you share with them is none of your business. So if you really care for someone, you will let them make their own choices after you have shared with them the option of other choices they can make. Because again, you don't know what his path is all about.
Mm.
Just because he's a member of your family doesn't mean you know better than he does. Even if what he knows is unconscious, doesn't mean you know better than he does about what it is he needs to experience to learn his lessons in life that he chose to learn. So be loving. You can certainly afford him the opportunity to hear you out and know that there may be other choices he can make. But when he makes his choice, that's his choice. And the choices he makes, it's none of your business. Just keep loving, keep supporting in whatever way you can.
Okay. And I wanted to ask, what is the secret to a long-lasting marriage?
Communication, clear communication, support, and allowing each being in the relationship to see reflections that will allow them to become more of who they truly are. Not any imposition of suppositions or insistences or assumptions about what they should be, but to allow them to become more of who they truly are. And that happens through support and clear communication, investigation of deep belief systems, why people choose to do what they choose to do, to understand each other and support each other in ways that allow each of the people in the relationship, again, as we said, to become more of who they truly are, to find their self-empowerment.
Would you say that patience might have something to do with it?
No patience is required. The only reason you require patience is because you're being impatient, because you think you know better than someone else and they're not doing what you want them to do.
Thank you. And I have a little anxiety. For me, place where I live is very important. And I have a little bit of anxiety when it comes to making a decision which city to live in. And it's
Why? Why do you have anxiety? Do you not have the capability of simply being attracted to something that you love, that you enjoy?
Well,
what's the anxiety about?
There's always the fear of like making the right choice, losing something.
You will always make the right choice, even if it's the wrong choice, because synchronicity, if you allow synchronicity in your life, will show you where you actually need to be. So even making what is not the correct choice will allow synchronicity to turn you around and provide opportunities that will take you to the correct choice. So you can always rely on synchronicity to be your guide. So again, don't heap judgment upon yourself for making a choice that may be out of alignment. If you trust synchronicity, it will show you the way.
Okay. So there is really, because my fear was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose all the people that I know here when I move.
Well, that's going to happen if you relate to that in terms of fear, because then you're creating it to happen because you're afraid it will happen, which is the same thing as manifesting it. So again, if you understand that all the important things that are relevant for you in life will not go away if you simply follow the flow of synchronicity, then you'll be fine. And if something does go away, then it needed to.
Okay, so just focus on the positives and that everything works out for me.
Why not? Why not? Why make any other choice? Even if something happens that you don't prefer, you have to know it's got to be there for a reason that can provide you a lesson that you need to learn, and therefore that's a positive thing. That's how you use what you don't prefer in a way that you do prefer.
Okay.
Yes?
Stop worrying and just focus on the positive.
It's exactly what we were already talking about. Stop heaping judgment on yourself and just get on with living your life in the best possible way you can, by providing yourself opportunities that you can learn lessons from, which is the whole point of why you are here in physical reality anyway. The process is the point. The journey is the destination. There's nowhere better that you can possibly be than to experience what's happening right now in your life and learning from it. All right?
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity. And
it is our passion and our pleasure to interact with you as well. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so confident about your lack of confidence.
Okay, I'll keep
All
that.
right.
Thank you. Bye.
Negative neutral perspective is inherently built into all levels of all that is, except all that is can experience the totality without differentiation between those particular energetic aspects.
And is there a device in nature that has recorded human history? And will it simply download information into the user's brain or set up a carefully curated images and videos to help elucidate some ideas? And is there such a device?
Quartz crystals that have been exposed to various cultures throughout human history can absorb and record information that can be extracted and downloaded by those sensitive enough to calibrate their own vibration in alignment with the vibration of that crystal's information. This is a permission slip that exists within you because the earth itself, in a sense, is a giant recording crystal of all human history.
And will it be quick, or will it take years to understand even a small event in history, depending on, how abundant the images are?
Well, that depends on the person and their capability and the need for them to know certain things now or later. You have to take it on an individual basis.
Is that phenomenon similar to what Darryl experiences when he, in a sense, downloads information, say, from you, and then it takes time for it to unspool in his consciousness?
Yes, it is similar. Because all information is available now, but you will only receive what is relevant for you. And you'll receive it in the way that, again, is determined by the process you believe is necessary for you to get every moment, every morsel, every ounce of enrichment that you believe is necessary for you to experience the fullness of physical reality. So you must trust the timing of how it unfolds.
And you say that our consciousness creates our reality, and all the tools and techniques for things like healing are permission slips.
Yes.
In that case, why in our drug trials can we measure efficacy above and beyond a baseline placebo effect?
Because you believe that they have greater efficacy. It's still about your belief system. Even though the placebo is enough to circumvent someone's belief system because they believe it can, because they believe it's something else, that's why you're seeing the real efficacy in the actual materials, is because collectively you believe that, at least for most people, it is more efficacious.
Thank you.
Remember, even though your conscious mind may not know what you're being given, part of you does.
And a lot of it has to do then with our tie-in to the collective consciousness, our belief in physics as they exist on this planet,
Yes.
etc.
Yes, yes, yes.
And can you clarify the difference between when you say you cannot perceive what you're not the vibration of first, and just because you can neutrally observe a reality you don't prefer, that doesn't mean that you are in or affected by that reality unless you choose to match it?
Yes. This may seem to be a contradiction, but it's not. You have to again look to the definition. You are perceiving other realities, other vibrations that are not completely vibrationally compatible with you, but you are still in alignment with the idea collectively that you'll be able to see differences and different vibrations for a while. So there's a larger overarching definition that says you are vibrationally compatible with seeing differences, even ones that are not vibrationally compatible with you. So you have to look to the different levels of the collective agreement about what is possible for you to align with, but you can observe those things from a neutral position if you wish. It's still included in the overall vibration of allowing you to perceive vibrations and choices that are not compatible with what you prefer on a larger scale.
So, for example, now with the war happening and us seeing images and information on television, videos, etc.,
Yes.
and recognizing that that is actually happening, but attempting to apply the glass wall, I guess, idea to the
Yes.
circumstance without at the same time being in denial of what
Yes.
is happening.
Yes, it's a balancing act, and it gives you the opportunity, again, to be a living example of what others may choose if they so desire. This is also another example of what we have talked about before, about saying that just because you attract something into your reality and can observe it doesn't mean it's a one-to-one reflection. Some individuals may have more issues than others, and even though they may attract themselves into your reality and you attract them into your reality yourself as well, the idea is not necessarily absolutely a one-to-one reflection of whatever it is that the issues are they're facing, as opposed to why you are experiencing their existence in your reality too. You can have a representation of things in your reality that isn't necessarily reflective of the fact that you have the same issues that you're observing, but you're willing to observe them for a variety of reasons. So your vibration is equal to that, and therefore you are equal to the vibration of observing these things, but that doesn't mean they're all your issues, literally.
What about the individuals that are actually experiencing it in their reality? How do they apply the idea of the glass wall? Or does that mean that it is their reality? I mean, obviously, it's very real for them.
Well, yes, but it's also slightly different, because they're not necessarily seeing the same reality as the ones who are in, shall we say, invading. They're seeing a slightly different reality, even though they are willing to participate in some degree on a higher level to the idea of the experience. What they perceive to be the idea of the outcome can be very different, and therefore that's a different reality.
So is there some advice for individuals that are experiencing extreme stress, extreme distress, and how to navigate such a, Earth appears to be an extremely challenging place to be.
It is.
When
but that's
you
the whole
recognize this whole scenario.
But again, that's the whole point of why you chose to be where you are, to function as living examples for other choices that can be made, and to choose what you do and don't prefer to have in what you call your futures, by shifting to different versions of Earth that contain different experiences that are more reflective of what you prefer. But sometimes you choose to go through a process to demonstrate the ability to choose something else. And you rely also upon the others in the reality that you are sharing them with to also provide other ideas, other pathways, other solutions, other choices. Remember, this is a collective agreement. On that level, even though individuals may be experiencing different things, you still have the collective ability to all share new ideas about how things can shift and work out and go down different avenues and paths. And again, all of this navigates you to the different versions of Earth that remain vibrationally compatible with the vibrations you're giving off, so that everyone gets an example. Everyone gets a lesson of different things they could choose based on the consequences of the choices they are making.
And we have seen with human beings that in times of great, horror, I guess, as what we're seeing, that the human spirit and the ability to surmount these kinds of things and do amazing things in response to great terror is part of what we've been endowed with as our capabilities.
Look to the positive things that have happened because of the situation you're calling negative. That's the key. Look to what this is causing others to do that can be considered a unification, a bonding, a positive experience. So many may choose to attract upon themselves situations that appear horrific in order to actually demonstrate that they are strong enough to do so, to give others the time to bond together in more positive ways. That is important for the entire world.
Because our history on Earth has been filled with war forever.
No, not forever. Only the history you're aware of.
Okay, so only the history that we're aware of, we're able to see this amazing amount of war that has consistently gone on through the ages here. And so is this part of our transformation into society that will no longer choose that as an expression?
What do you think?
I do believe that, yes.
Then that's the earth you will wind up on.
So
but you still have to act as an example of what the behaviors are that are representative of that particular world in order to navigate yourself to that version of Earth. But you're using what is going on in this version to navigate to a different version and be a living example of how others can do so as well.
So it's important to feel a lot of gratitude to every person that is going through this, and also to recognize that by taking action in a direction that's supportive of the individuals that do not want war in some form or fashion, and contributing to the overall transformation of our planet, that this is the way that we can navigate this particular period in our history.
Yes, it's just that you've been used to creating extreme situations before you will allow yourself to wake up and change. This is no exception. And remember what we've said about the rubber band effect. The extreme situations you're creating are representative of pulling the rubber band very, very far back into darkness, into negativity. And again, you can use the pressure of that pullback in its extreme form to finally snap forward when you really let all of that go much farther and faster into the light.
Because in a way, it does seem like the people of the planet are recognizing that they don't want war anymore.
Yes.
More and more.
Yes, but they have to actually make choices that are really indicative of that. And not just give it lip service, as you humans say.
What happens when someone has completely fulfilled their soul contracts and completed their area and themes of exploration? At that point, does the soul just choose a new theme of exploration? Souls to decide what they want to experience? Or what is that based on? Why are some people choosing one thing and others the other?
Why do you choose what you do and why do others choose what they do? It's personal preference. It's what you believe you need for your own growth, for your own experience. There's no other outside preference that determines this. It's always up to you to determine what it is you believe you need next.
Okay. And you've said that angels are the first reflection of all that is. Does that mean on a very high level that we as individuals contain the consciousness of angels?
Yes, and you are contained in the consciousness of angels.
And one person was asking about interacting with all that is, like, do we have a different experience of all that is than the Essassani beings do? And same thing for angels. Do they have a completely different perspective of all that is than we do?
I would think that would be relatively self-evident. Of course they do, because they're on a different level and see things in different ways.
So how about for your society, the way that you experience all that is versus us as humans at our level?
Well, as we said, our daily experience is as if walking through different dimensions, as if dreaming while awake. We experience multiple realities simultaneously and can keep it all in order because that's the way we function at this particular point in our evolutionary space. So it's similar to the idea of recognizing that there may be different levels or representations or collectives that exist that might represent oversouls and angels and what have you. And we interact with them according to the synchronism in our society that determines when and where it's appropriate to do so. But we still experience most everything as a kind of dreamlike collective that allows us to extract whatever information we require at that moment as individuals from the collective that we're interacting with.
And this person here is saying that I'm amazed by you as quasi-physical beings being able to keep a balance between the conscious energy state and a persona state. So by following your teachings, I had an experience that is beyond the best thing my mind could ever imagine. And I'm curious, how do you balance the two states so well? Once I'm in a state of love, it is very challenging for me to use the perspective of my ego. Does this make sense to you?
Yes. Well, the simple answer is practice, like anything. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Our civilization at this point in its evolutionary path has been doing it for so long that it's actually more of a challenge for us to not do that, to not be in that state of balance. We actually have to really try hard to get out of balance at this point because there's a momentum, there's an inertia to the idea of something you do over and over and over again. But don't necessarily judge the ego itself as negative. You can maintain the idea of a persona, which is all the ego is, keeping you focused in physical reality, and still experience the great connections and balance of unconditional love of all that is through the interpretation that is appropriate for physical reality. So it's not about getting rid of the ego, it's about allowing the ego to simply act as a conduit in the way that's appropriate for the physical ego to do so, to experience unconditional love and connection of everything in life, in physical terms.
And this person is saying, I love ETs like crazy. I talk about ETs all day. It's my total passion. I feel my heart is expanded a lot and I feel such deep love. Why do I love ETs? What's going on?
Well, again, you recognize the connection to other selves, other parallel realities that your greater consciousness is connected to. It's also an expression of self-love that you're willing to open up to more of yourself in that way. And more of your total self will contain the idea of extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional expressions of consciousness, just as it contains expressions of spirit as well. So you're just connecting to more of yourself and falling in love with yourself in different ways.
Okay. And this person was saying, you've mentioned that diseases are caused by distorted beliefs. I don't think you used the word distorted, but that's the one they use.
Fear-based, negative, yes.
And they're saying that when they were 3 years old, they got tuberculosis and they almost died.
Yes.
What beliefs could I have had at that time that would give me such a disease? Was it infectious, like tuberculosis, something that I wanted to experience, or is it just a disease?
Well, first and foremost, this is a multi-layered question. Remember that souls can actually come into physical reality with a theme of exploration already at hand. That can represent the idea or stand in for the concept of having beliefs that will cause certain things to happen so that they can fulfill the theme of their exploration. Even a child, even at birth, will start to absorb whatever beliefs are in that society that will serve them in creating that theme, that experience that they have decided to explore, not only for their own purposes, but perhaps even for other people's purposes around them. Sometimes souls will choose to experience a disease at a young age, not just because of what it might do for their own experience as a soul, but what it might actually cause other people to choose to do that are surrounding that particular child that has the disease. In other words, what are you and others learning they otherwise wouldn't have learned if the child didn't have the disease? So there can be many reasons for this. It's not necessarily about the idea of the child having enough experience to have chosen or absorbed those beliefs through the idea of living, but just absorbing them telepathically for the idea of constructing whatever experience they need to construct in order to play out the theme that they chose to assist themselves and others.
And does the replacement of a damaged human body organ with machine parts mean spiritual degeneration? And will human beings take the road of being half human and half machine in the future?
It does not deteriorate the spirit. Again, as long as consciousness has an appropriate vehicle to express itself through in its fullness of being, there is no idea of degeneration. The idea of being human doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot have what you would call artificial machine parts. It's all about the collective whole of what expression is capable coming through the idea of an organic or a synthetic particular construct. So it's really all about the ability of those parts still allowing for the fullest expression of the consciousness that would be there even if the being was wholly organic. Remember, even organics are a different form of construction, a different form of machine. The materials are not so much the issue as it is what the materials are capable of allowing the consciousness to express. You can have a fully synthetic being that expresses full consciousness. Is that being human? It depends on what you refer to as human. But is it a full expression of consciousness like any other conscious being? Yes, it can be. And therefore it may be irrelevant as to whether it's technically human or not.
Okay, and can you help us understand a little more about the idea of eating meat and plants on this planet, and whether or not the negative effects that are caused by eating meat on our environment indicates that in order to be a more evolved being, you need to give that up, or is it actually necessary for us at this stage in development?
Again, a very generalized question, still based on the idea that it's important to look at every individual and what they truly need. Some individuals may still require the absorption of meat protein. Many may not. And yes, in general, it's usually representative of a higher vibration to eat things that, in your terms, are less dense or created through more negative means, which can create a more negative vibration in those substances. But again, if you allow yourself to go back to a more natural way of absorbing the meat protein in terms of how the meat protein is collected, how the respect is given, how the exchange happens in a more natural, original, organic way, then individuals that may require meat protein can absorb it without the idea of the negative concept behind how it was raised or how it was caught or how it was killed. But again, yes, in general, humans are evolving to the point where you may find simply no desire and no need anymore to absorb more dense substances and can subsist quite readily on some of the less dense substances. And even the idea of meat protein is still more about the plants, because really you're getting what you need from the plants that the animal ate, more than you are from the meat itself, which is really functioning more as a carrier for the substances that they ate that are passed on to you when you consume them.
So the fact that in our society now, we're starting to be able to do things like grow meat in laboratories so that we don't have to kill animals in order to eat that. And taking that along with the idea that isn't one of the attractions of coming to Earth and having this very physical experience, part of the attraction of being here, the dining experience, so to speak, seems to be very attractive to perhaps be. But are beings in spirit, can they also experience eating and dining and doing all that?
They can, but most of them simply find it unnecessary. If they wish to have an experience, they can create it instantaneously. But the idea is it's not quite the same as physical reality. There are different levels of pleasures to it, and some may even be greater than what you experience in physical reality. But again, most usually let go of that and simply create environments that they may enjoy that are similar, but not necessarily requiring them to seem to be ingesting anything in order to experience and get out of that environment the same thing they might have gotten out of eating in restaurants when they were physically alive.
And so these...
But one moment. The idea of creating meats artificially can be a step in the direction of the evolution, but you're going to find ultimately that will probably be unnecessary. Because again, more of you may gravitate towards simply eating natural foods that are grown naturally, that are given from the earth naturally, and most of that will most likely ultimately be plant material. You will simply not need the idea of artificial meat eventually, but it can be part of a weaning process if you wish.
But isn't it, it's not really artificial meat because it is they use the cells and
artificially constructed
meat. Okay. So, but it's a good intermediary step, yes?
It can be. It depends on the person.
Okay. All right. And lastly, there's an indication that there seems to be an intensification of the splitting prisms phenomenon.
Oh, yes.
Why is this, and how will it transform? And is this the beginning of the end of this stage, or will it just continue intensifying as we go forward?
It will intensify to a certain point, but beyond that, it will only intensify in realities that require it to intensify. The idea is that, again, as the splitting prism continues, those that will be navigating themselves toward versions of Earth that no longer require the same kind of intensity in their experience will no longer experience it, even though there may be versions where the intensity does grow and continue because it's leading down a different kind of a path. So there will be a point at which the intensity in that sense will diminish for those that go to certain versions, and it will continue to grow for those that choose other pathways.
Okay, thank you. And thank you so much for all the information and your sharing, and we really appreciate you. Thank you, Bashar.
It is our passion and our pleasure and our deepest appreciation to all of you for the power and strength that you show and demonstrate every single day in making the choices that are true for you and being a living example of the choices that others could choose, but also having the strength and wisdom to allow them to choose their path, no matter how different it may be from yours, because in the end, all come home. Now, please allow yourselves to relax and enjoy your meditative exercise. And responsibility. We understand many people on your planet have experienced the feelings of guilt and shame for many thousands of years, depending upon the actions that you take and how much of your conscious awareness comes into play with regard to whether or not you have acted out of integrity, meaning outside of integrity, and the idea of bringing yourself back into alignment. But many people on your planet go through a long process of letting go of the guilt and the shame before they are actually willing to let themselves experience responsibility in a positive sense. As we have said, our definition is simply the ability to respond. So the idea that we have spoken of before, when we have mentioned the concept of what we called natural anger, that lasts for about 15 seconds, and then it becomes an alignment energy for you to determine how to bring yourself back into alignment with your true vibration. Guilt can be used in the same way, and it is actually activated by much of the same mechanism, and is a representation of a similar vibrational energy as anger when it becomes judgment upon oneself, turning into the idea of hate, and so on and so forth. Then the natural energy that you experience as guilt when you heap judgment upon yourself for having it allows you to experience the idea of shame and doesn't really give you the ability to take full responsibility, to have the full ability to respond to the situation in a positive way. So this is really the same mechanism as we have described in terms of the natural anger, which perhaps from this point forward would be best terminized as alignment, an alignment energy. Best termed that way, instead of thinking of it as anger, which usually on your planet has a negative connotation already. So let's redefine the idea as alignment energy when you experience the idea of anger, when you experience the idea of guilt, when you experience the idea of shame, and all similar feelings. They are just representations, different expressions for different reasons of an alignment energy that gives you the opportunity to understand that you are out of alignment with your true vibration, out of sync with yourself, and without the judgment being heaped upon it, being heaped upon yourself for having experienced that alignment energy, then it won't turn anger into hate. It won't turn guilt into shame. you will simply be able to recognize it as an energy that tells you you are out of alignment with who you truly prefer to be. And you can bring yourself immediately back into alignment by being willing to take responsibility, by being willing to have the ability to respond to the situation in a positive way, saying, all right, this alignment energy, this rush of alignment energy that I am feeling, either as anger or guilt, doesn't have to perpetuate in a negative way, which only defeats the purpose of learning the lesson from it, that it helps me know I'm out of alignment so that I can take the opportunity to go back into alignment by taking responsibility, by having and expressing the ability to respond to my recognition that I'm out of alignment, by bringing myself back into alignment and not judging myself for having had the misalignment in the first place. So start to look at the idea of guilt as just another expression of the alignment energy, bringing it to your attention, that it is not an expression of who you prefer to be, that you are out of sync with yourself, and start having more of an understanding of the ability to respond, bringing yourself back in to the idea of alignment by recognizing that it is simply an energy that let you know reflectively that you were out of alignment with who you truly prefer to be. So responsibility, the ability to respond, will short circuit the idea, if you're willing to go in that direction, of having any judgment on yourself for having been out of alignment, will prevent you from having to go through a long, involved, detailed process of wondering why and berating yourself for having gone out of alignment. Take this opportunity to shorten your processes. Take this opportunity to stop judging yourself for having slipped, as we say, or chosen, as we say, to go out of alignment momentarily. It does you really no good to continue that process of shame and guilt and anger, of continuing the misalignment by judging yourself negatively for having had that experience. Allow yourself to go quickly back into alignment by taking responsibility for having had the experience in a positive context and knowing that it has shown you very clearly who you truly prefer to be, and snapping back into that choice, realizing that it served its purpose already. There's no need to dwell on it or wallow in having had the alignment rush that you felt. There is no need to continue the shame. There is every need on your planet for you to correct yourself immediately, bring yourself back into alignment, be a positive example of how to do so for others, so they also do not have to wallow into the idea of self-judgment, which you don't deserve, especially if you recognize by having that alignment rush that that's a good thing. It has shown you that you're operating properly, you're working properly, you're self-correcting, you're self-guiding. You are recognizing that you're out of alignment, and that's a positive recognition. So don't judge yourself negatively for that. Congratulate yourself for having realized, for having been willing to experience that rush of alignment energy that you used to call natural anger or used to call the idea of guilt. It's just a recognition. Use it positively, and you will move forward in a positive way very quickly and will not spend most of your time dwelling on the idea that you're judging yourself, which actually allows you to continue to judge yourself in a negative way. So know the differences here. Watch your definitions here. Use these to your advantage here, wherever and whenever you can. We thank you for allowing us to express this difference between the concept of guilt and responsibility by redefining all of these experiences as the alignment energy, the rush of alignment energy that allows you to know you are functioning perfectly, you are functioning fine. So celebrate that and congratulate yourself for having caught yourself in being misaligned with your true vibration, and allow yourself to snap back into that true vibration and move forward in your lives in a positive way. So in return for allowing us to share this concept with you this day of your time, I ask you now, in what way may we be of service to you? You may begin, if you wish, with your questions and dialogue.